morning. Welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, November the 19th. We've got an artificial intelligence expert with us today, SCOTT CHRISTIANSON, Professor SCOTT CHRISTIANSON with the university. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I always enjoy chatting with you about artificial intelligence because you come up with something new each time. So our topic today is...
Well, the big topic is, can artificial intelligence or a computer be creative, or is it just following formulas? And that's important because if you start to think about the debate of whether a computer could even be conscious, or if somebody like Data from Star Trek could actually be alive, well, part of what makes us alive, I would say, is that we're creative about things.
We have a conscience.
And we have a conscience.
I don't want to get off the subject too much, but do you remember that movie about 15 or 20 years ago? It was called AI, and it was about, I think it was a Steven Spielberg movie. It was about a little boy that was created for this couple that couldn't have children. Do you remember that?
I think I remember it, yeah.
And the little boy had a conscience, and he learned to love his parents. Then when they could have children, they decided they didn't want the little robot boy anymore, which had become almost human, and it was heartbreaking.
It's kind of like the Pinocchio story retold, right?
Yes, almost like that. Do you ever see AI becoming that sophisticated?
I don't, and let me give you some examples. We talked about writing before, and we talked about how newspapers like the Wall Street Journal are using algorithms and AI to write some articles, but they're very formulaic. They're like sports articles, they're financial articles where, this company posted this profit, this football player ran this many yards. So the computer is
actually writing the articles.
Right, and you'll see that in the byline at the bottom, and you can get more information about how it was written. And it's great because they can cover a lot more things than they would have reporters to be able to cover. But once again, it's very formulaic. But something like Star Trek or that movie that you're just mentioning is very creative, right? And that's why I think we fell in love with that series, was not so much the gadgets and the starships and all that. And that was cool, but it was really the creative scripts, right? And it was really...
They made you think.
They made you think, exactly. And so this is from an AI that has been fed all the scripts from Star Trek, and it has tried to generate some potential stories. And I want you to see if you think you would watch these or not.
Okay, so this is part of a script written by an artificial intelligence for a future Star Trek story.
Right.
Okay.
So here is a very short one. While in command of the Enterprise, Worf experimentally gains the trust of an elderly woman.
Okay.
I don't know if I would watch that one. That sounds not that creative. The Enterprise is transporting a delegate to a conference on technology that could help them all escape their own solar system. He convinces the crew that he is there to deliver a message to the ruler that ultimately decides whether or not to accept him as head of the Federation.
Yeah, I would watch that one.
You'd watch that one? Okay.
Was that generated by...
That was generated by an AI. And the Enterprise is transporting a dangerous alien species who are feared by Starfleet. When the crew enter the turbolift, they find a captain with a phobia of the planet's dark atmosphere.
You mean Captain Kirk?
I don't know. That's
Captain
what it
Kirk
says.
Captain Kirk doesn't have any phobias. I mean,
right. So I guess my point is that AIs are great at doing things that have a pattern, but creativity doesn't often have a pattern, right? It breaks the mold. It's something new, or it's some new combination of things. And that is what I think that is the best of being human in some ways, is our creativity. And at least so far, computers do relatively poorly when they try to do things that are creative.
But now you talk about creativity. 2001: A Space Odyssey. HAL, the computer.
Yes.
HAL, the computer, was very creative there because he was not going to let the humans turn him off.
But let's remember, that was a script that was written by a human, not a script that was written by
a computer.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So what you're saying then, you don't ever feel that computers will start taking over and giving the commands instead of humans and giving commands to human beings?
Well, I don't think so, and I don't think that they're going to be able to exhibit creativity in the way that we might see in movies or in sci-fi. And this is actually something that was proposed a long time ago by a woman named Ada Lovelace in the 1850s. She was actually working with Charles Babbage, who had a mechanical computer, and she said, it is desirable to guard against the possibility of exaggerated ideas that might arise to the powers of the computer. It has no pretensions whatsoever to originate anything. So this is known as Lady Ada's objection, and she objected to the idea that computers could ever have a creative thought, and we are still debating that today. We're still talking about that today, a thought exercise that was carried out 150, 170 years ago.
Yeah. However, when you think about all of the advances that have been made in AI over the past, 10 years, 15 years, who's to say how it is going to advance over the next 15 or 20 years? And we may be eating these words 20 years from now if you and I are still around.
Right. We may. Predictions about the future are notoriously wrong, right?
Yeah.
But from what I've seen so far, we haven't seen AIs really exhibit creativity in the same
Getting
ways.
out of control.
Yeah.
You don't see them getting out of control.
Well, they might get out of control even if they're not creative, right? So they might control us through social media. They might be directed by humans to make us buy more stuff, and maybe that makes us more divisive as a country. Maybe there's other problems, right, that AIs create.
Okay. Well, when you look at Facebook,
right?
What happens on Facebook?
And it's all driven by AIs, right?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. And whenever you click on something on Facebook, I noticed that maybe several hours later you're checking something and a commercial will come up regarding what you were looking at.
Right, exactly.
Because it knows.
Right.
It knows. All right. Somebody once told me they won't have a computer and on the internet because it'll get you. It'll get
Well,
you.
stay off the internet, Paul. Let's just delete that phone
All right,
now.
if you want more information, you can learn about AI. Visit Scott's website at Learnabout AI.
Yes,
Scott, thank you so much.
All right,
Be
take
careful
care.
because it'll get you. We're out of time for today. Bye-bye.